Hello guys, Wahoo here, back with another video. This time around we are going with the updated rune crafting guide. So yes, I had an old, or still have an old rune crafting guide to 250, but they completely revamped how you are going to go through the different brackets. So I'm making a completely new one, and I feel like it was also about time that I did a new one. So I'm very happy that we got this in this new update. So we are gonna go through every single bracket. You can in the description see the full material list if you want to do so, but there is some trickery to it through the different steps. So I do suggest that you get into the different ones. I will of course make timestamps so you can just jump to the thing you are looking for, because the first steps are going to be very straightforward and very easy. Just craft and that's it. But some of them do need a little bit of fine tuning or a little bit of trickery to make it as cheap as possible. You can do whatever you want. Basically, if I just go right in here, you can craft these standard blocks if you choose to do so. They are very expensive to do so, but you could make 50 of these. Of course, I would recommend you doing this one, but we'll get to that when we get to that bracket. Of course, that's the first bracket, but however you feel like you want to go about it, however you have materials for, go ahead and craft those. But this video is just going to be the easiest way that you are going through the different brackets if you just want to power through it. Even though some of the steps, even being very cheap, is still quite crazy grinds when you get to the end of it, of course. But that's in the lower brackets, or the last brackets I mean, and those we'll see when we get to that. So without further ado, let's again just jump into the first bracket, which is from 0 to 50. So yes, we are in the first bracket, which is from 0 to 50. And this is going to be a pretty simple bracket. All we are going to do in this bracket, we are going to craft 50 of these rune slates right here, just 50 of these. And you are going to be level 50 in rune crafting, or skill 50 in rune crafting. And this is what it's going to cost. It's going to cost you 100 Glim. It's going to cost you 5 yellow blocks, 5 red blocks, and 5 blue blocks. But of course, we're going to times that times 50. So it's going to be 5,000 Glim. It's going to be 250 yellow, 200 red, 250 red, 250 blue. And Glim you can get anywhere from, dungeons, from enemies, and it just drops randomly. There's many ways to get this. You can also get it off the marketplace if you choose to do so. And also the blocks can get off the marketplace if you choose to do so, but I would recommend you just go out there and bomb some desert frontier or some permafrost biomes. That is going to probably give you most of these here. If you just go out there and bomb some of them, you will see whatever you get, and then see those usually collide with the other biomes. If it's a red biome, also dragon fire peaks, that's also probably going to give you some red ones, and you can probably get them anywhere you really want. Or again, you can get it off the marketplace. You don't need that many, and I usually, like a whole stack goes for like 10,000 flux or something like that. That's a whole stack, and you only need 250. So that's pretty much a lot of blocks. And again, these are pretty simple to do so. But go ahead and craft 50 of these and then hold on to them, because we need them for the other brackets. So first of all, yes, just go ahead and craft 50 of these, and you are going to be skill 50 with rune crafting, and we can move on to the next bracket. All right, we are in the next bracket, which is going to be 50 to 100. And this bracket is also going to be pretty simple as the first bracket as well was, because we are going to be the dabbler now, and we are going to go ahead and craft 50 of these rune papers. We need the rune papers here. So just as we did with the slates, we're going to craft 50 of these. It's going to be pretty simple because we are going to need them to go later on. You could combine it and also craft some of these blank ones. I'll get to that in the next bracket. But we are going to use just 50 of these, and it's going to be 50 blank scrolls, 250 yellow blocks, 250 red, 250 blue. And these, of course, can become from different biomes when you just bomb blocks, like for example permafrost or the desert frontier, or maybe also Dragonfire Peaks. You can get these, or on the marketplace if you choose to do so. Blank scrolls also comes from different various things when you loot collect it, but mostly it comes from recipes. So when you're out there finding the recipe dungeons in all the different biomes, when you loot collect these, you are going to get blank scrolls. So pretty simple. I need 50 of these. So about 50 dungeons you need to do to get these, or you can get them off the marketplace. They're not super expensive, but again, yeah, you just probably have a bunch of these anyway. So you can see I just have 745. I could have a lot more in my stash. I just keep them around there because I could also make them blank scrolls, but I never really need that many. But now we need 50 of these, and we need again 250 of these, 250 of these, 250 of these, and you can obtain it all on the marketplace if you choose to do so, because that's just how I do it. But when you craft 50 of these, you are going to be skill 100, and we can move on to the next bracket. Yes, so we are in the next bracket, which of course is 100 to 150. And in this one, the third bracket, we are going to go a little bit back because we need our rune paper, we need our rune slates that we made from the previous ones. If you don't have them, you should go ahead and craft 50 of these and 50 of these as well. And then you are going to go these blank runes, these blank runes. We're going to make 50 of these as well. You can see they cost the rune paper, it costs the slates. And with this, we are going to go out there and do 50 dungeons. You have to equip this in your auto use. Right here you can see I have something that is a little bit bigger because I'm further down here, but you need these because in the enthusiast we are going to make 50 of these shine runes, and these shine runes you can also make these. It doesn't really matter, but I would suggest you go ahead and get these because the gear crafting vaults are pretty nice early on when you are, you know, gearing up as well. And these are, as you can see, we need some more of these and more of these, but we also need some of this. But we need this new thing, which is the rune fragments. And the rune fragments are going to, when you have these equipped, as these ones, as you can also see, breaks when you complete it, then grant you some rune fragments. These breaks again when you do a dungeon, and you get a few rune fragments. And you need, again, you need a little bit of rune fragments here. You need 50 rune fragments. And my suggestion is that, again, you make 50 because we had 50 from here and 50 from here. And so you're going to make 50 here. It's not going to give you any skill points, but we need the rune fragments. So you're going to go out there and, of course, do 50 dungeons. Remember, there's a cooldown on it when you actually break this, so just keep that in mind. You should get a little thing up here. Yeah, I'll open that one, but you're going to get a little debuff up here until you can break it again. That can be changed. I'll get to that when we get to the rune anvil, which is going to be a different video where you can reduce the cooldown of it. But the point is that we are going to make dungeons, and so you're just going to go out there, do dungeons as you usually do, and then you have rune fragments for the next step, which is the one we are going to get into, because the rune fragments here, as you can see, cannot be traded, so you do have to obtain it this way and only this way. So that's how they kind of did it, where you have to obtain these rune fragments. But we can go over the cost of the rest of it now that we know how to obtain the rune fragments, because now you're done the 50 dungeons and you have all the rune fragments. Again, it gives you between at least 1 and it can also give you 2 or 3, I've seen. But the point is that if you're really unlucky, you need 50 of these. You need 50 rune fragments for this step because you need 1, and that's 50 steps, right? Or 50 skill levels. So if you're really unlucky, you could end up, of course, you know, only getting 50, like the bare minimum, but you will probably end up a little bit more. But we're gonna need more when we get through the other steps, so don't worry if you have too many, and if you get like lucky and getting 3 fragment every single time, then you're just lucky and you should just be happy about that. But let's go over the materials that we do have for the other ones. So I'm not gonna go into how much it's gonna cost for the rune paper and the rune slates. We did that on the other one. It's also calculated again into the total cost. So that's not only like, hey, you just need more of these, but basically right now you need, again, rune paper. You need 50 of these rune papers. You need 50 of the rune slates, and we have already used it, so you're gonna go ahead and craft 50 more of each. And now you also, of course, need crystalline clouds. You need 250 crystalline clouds and 250 radiant shards. And radiant shards you get, of course, from the air worlds, as you can see here from the Sky Realm, and also this one is also from the Sky Realm. You can also get them off the marketplace. They're not super expensive, but they're super easy to get. And the Sky Realm is right up here. This is the Runic worlds, as it says. You can also go in here if you want to. This has the same thing, but you can go here and just get it a little bit easier than you can here. I think you need 900 to go to a U8, for example. And this one, you don't need to defeat any monsters or anything like that. You just jump from world to, from island to island, and there should be all of this. But again, it's super cheap on the marketplace, so you should probably just go ahead and get that if you not already have it. It's very, very little cost, but you need it anyways for these ones. The thing that's going to be most costly or most time consuming is going to be the rune fragments. That's going to be the theme probably from the rest of the other ones. But now that we've done all those dungeons, we have crafted all of this, we have done the 50 of these shine runes, you can actually go ahead and also just equip them and just use them. They're not going to give you anything besides, they're not going to give you rune fragments, but they are going to give you some gear vaults when you magic find triggers, as it says right here. So hold on to them and just use them at some point when you want to. But now your skill level is, of course, 150, and we can move on to the next bracket. All right, now we are in the next bracket, which of course is from 150 to 200. This step is, or this bracket is pretty simple, but of course it only depends on how much you know. But you should of course know about it because you know about the different things that has been before. But I'll just go over it really quickly. We need rune slates, we need of course rune paper, and we need some more of these blank runes, because we need some more of these rune fragments, because now we are of course in the inscriber tier, and we got the rune slate air, we need the rune slate fire, or the rune slate water. And when I say that, you can use whatever you want. If you want to go for the air one, if you want to go for the fire one, if you want to go for the water one, it doesn't matter. It's going to cost you the same thing. The only thing that changes is of course that water is going to be water dust, fire is going to be fire dust, and air is going to be air dust. It's going to cost you the same in rune fragments, dust, and slates. So we want to go ahead and make some slates. You want to have a lot of rune fragments here, actually 250. So I suggest you actually go ahead and make a lot of rune papers, and you make a lot of, maybe actually all the way to 250 of each, if you have the currency for it. At least make as many as you can, and then get as much rune fragment as you can, and then do as many dungeons. Again, we got to go out there and do dungeons to get this rune fragment so they break. So we get these rune fragments. Again, you need 250 rune fragments to get this tier, which is pretty crazy at this point, I would kind of say. The dust is not going to be the problem, and the rune slate is not going to be the problem either. So again, we need 50 of these rune slates. We need about 250 air dust, so that's not really much, or water or fire. And then of course the 250 rune fragments, which is going to be the thing that's probably going to hold you back when you are doing it. But assuming that you know how to get your rune fragments, as I just told you, and you know how to get dust, all these things cannot be traded on the marketplace. As you can see here, the rune slates, that's the one right up there. The air dust is again nothing you can get off the marketplace, and the rune fragments are either. So there's not really anything, you can't really buy your way out of this right here. Again, pretty simple, but kind of weird in that sense, where you have to get a lot of rune fragments at this point. And this one again doesn't give a lot of rune fragments when you do it. It says a few. I've seen like down all the way to, of course, down to 1, and it can I think maybe 5 is the max or something like that. You're not gonna get a bunch of these. So craft what you can. Don't go crazy, but still rune fragments are not going to be something you are going to have too many of when we get later on. There's going to be some crazy numbers also in the rune anvil, which we're going to get to in another video as well. But again, when you have crafted this, you should be 200, and we are done with this bracket, and we can move on to the next one. All right, we are in the next bracket, which is of course from 200 to 250, and this one is also sort of simple, but I think it's more simple than the other one was. But the thing is that we now need these. You should have a few of these from the last bracket. Maybe you have some of the air, some of the fire, some of the water, or maybe you have all of them actually air. If you make them all air, that's really nice, but you can also use the other one. Doesn't really matter too much, because it's gonna be the same kind of deal that we had before. As you can see here, for the air ones, we are going to have this one. For fire, we are going to have this one, and then this one for water. And it's basically the same. It doesn't matter which ones you make. I would suggest you make some of these air ones, but if you have other ones, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter too much. We just need, of course, the 50 air slates, or the fire slates, or the water slates, depending on which ones you made. If you made like a few of these, doesn't matter. Just use whatever you have. You should have these ones, but we are going to go ahead with these ones. You can't really use these for anything else. So you should have them still in your inventory. Hopefully you didn't destroy them. That would be weird if you did. I didn't say anything about that. But anyways, the point is that we are going to go with these different slates. Again, you can do whatever you want. Again, I would suggest you, of course, take the yellow one. This is actually the best you can have in your slot for light at the moment. So this is really nice to boost your light stat as well. These are also kind of nice, but this one is definitely the winner. But don't worry about it if you haven't made all of these on this one. But of course, we have the slates, and then we of course also need the paper, and that of course comes from right here. So we need 50 of the paper again, more of blank scrolls and the yellow, red, and blue. So of course you should get these ones. And if you want to know where I get these, of course you can go back to the second bracket when I talked about where you are going to get these. But you pretty much probably know where you're going to get from this one if you are this far here. So yeah. Just craft so you get to 200. Right now you're of course 150. So just craft whatever you have of these ones, because you should have 50 rune papers and then assortment of the other ones if you did it like that, or if maybe just all of them in the air one. And now you should be 250 rune crafting. You should be 250 now. So now we can move on to the next bracket. All right, now we are in the next bracket, and the next bracket is 250 to 300. And this one is pretty simple as well, just to go towards the next tier. We are going to be a Runic Master right now. Before we were Rune Carver, now we are the Rune Master. So the Rune Master here, you want to craft these empty runes, and these are going to be very nice. Before you were dabbling, dabbler, you were dabbling in the blank runes here, and these were not super expensive, but I feel like they were kind of actually more expensive than these ones. But it might also be that, being in the end game for a long time, I kind of feel like this. But these are very nice because these are going to grant you more of the Rune Fragment. So we are going to upgrade, and I feel like you get about 10-ish on average of the Rune Fragments per these ones. So when these break, when you complete a dungeon, these are going to give you Rune Fragments. So you can go ahead and make 50 of these. Of course, it's going to cost you 1,250 cosmic dust, and of course cosmic dust is from also from crystal gear. Of course, when you deconstruct crystal gear, you also get cosmic dust. And also again, the rune slates, these are all the way up from the start. So you just go ahead and make 50 of these. Pretty simple. I talked about how you're going to get these materials in the very beginning. So, but go ahead and make 50 of these. And if you've gone through all of these steps, you already know how to make these and get these materials as well. But the simple thing is that we're just going to use the 50 rune slates and 1,250 cosmic dust to get to 300 skill. So pretty simple. And then you can go ahead and use these, of course, as well. You should use all the runes that you craft over time, and especially these, because these are going to give fragments, and we're going to lead some way more fragments when we get further down into this. So yeah, that was simple. Make 50 of these, make 50 rune slates, have the dust, of course, from the place, and then of course craft 50, and you should be 300 skill level in rune crafting. So with that said, we can move on to the next bracket. All right, now we are in the second last bracket, that is 300 to 350. And in this one, we are going to use a little bit of trickery. That's what I said. So when you go down to, it says 850 rune fragments, and you're probably going to think, why is it only like rune fragments? It's because there is a little bit of workaround how you are going to get the different levels. So if you are in the depth carver, as we are right here, and you look at this one, you are going to have the rune slate scyther or scepter, and basically all the rune ones here. And when you look into them, they need a lot of materials, more of these air slates, more of these fire slates, and also more of these slates of water. That's not really going to be the biggest problem. The biggest problem is going to be this deep stone, because that's going to be pretty rare in the beginning. In the future, this might be super common, might not be super expensive. But if I use right here, you can see they are around 7,000 each. So just if you want to 75 of these, you are going to use 500,000 flux right now, because the update just came out. But we are not going to go that route, because that's super expensive, and even the essences are going to be super, super expensive. But again, we have a little bit of a workaround, and it can be very easy for you in the future watching this one, because we are going to use the Rune Anvil. And you also might be wondering, there is one thing out here that I don't have, Wahoo, so what is all this? Well, in the Rune Anvil, and I will also of course link to the Rune Anvil anywhere I can in the description, so you guys can go ahead and see what the Rune Anvil basically does. But in the Rune Anvil, there is a note that is right down in the bottom, and I will show you. Actually, I think it's much easier if I just show you on the Rune Anvil, because right now I don't have the Rune Anvil. That would be standing right next to this one, of course, because that makes the most sense. But you need all these corals right here. If you can get here, it doesn't really matter if you have this one or not, because it's going to be on the ships in the tier 15 worlds. So the only thing you need is, of course, rune fragments. That's from somewhere different. You probably already know about how you get rune fragments, because we got a bunch of them from right here. So you probably already know what rune fragments are. And all these corals, if you want to make the anvil yourself, that is from different biomes. So you need to look for the biomes that you need. This one is from these first 3 ones are from the 3 biomes that are in your top side. And of course, again, it is down here what is in rotation. So right now it is actually Desert Frontier, which actually is one of the things you need for this one. But you can also have this Rune Anvil in your club world, on your cornerstone. So maybe your club already have it. We are going to have it in our club, but they're also going to be on these ships. So let me just show you where you are going to find them. All right, so I found one of these ships right here, and I actually found it in the jungle biome. It is all over the place, and they do have a little marking as this one. Of course, not this one. This is of course a recipe dungeon. This of course has this one right here, so it looks like a as a point, right? But right here they do have a Rune Anvil, as you can see right here. So if you can enter U15 or tier 15, actually it's called, I'm calling it tier 15s, not U12, but tier 15s worlds, that's the the biggest one, the ones right down here. If you enter this one, you can find these ships all over the place, and they all look the same. And this one you can use any place. You can also use these Rune Anvils, even though you can't enter here, if you can use it in your, if it is in your club world, like it is in our club world in Club Wahoo, or it's in other club worlds as well. And many people have these because it's not super hard to get, but of course you do have to get into tier 15 worlds to get these materials. But if you're just part of the the world, you don't even have to be 300 or whatever. But this is what it is looking like. You need to, this is what it looks like, a big tree here, or talent tree, whatever. And what you need is the one right down here, Resolve, right down here. It's going to cost you 100 rune fragments. That's also why it is calculated in the 850 rune fragments you need to get this one. So that's calculated in that sense as well. So you go ahead and of course just use this one, and usually it just looks like this. Oh, I can't see from my face, so let me just go ahead and remove that. It's just going to say upgrade. It's going to cost 100 as well. Of course, you shouldn't get this one. This one is one we're looking for. Right now I've upgraded so you guys can see it. But yeah, there's going to be an upgrade. It's going to cost you 100, and then you are done with the Rune Anvil. And you can go ahead and you can actually see there's also a rune crafting table down here, where this option is now going to be available for you. And this one, what it does is that it grants you unbreakable runes for 1 hour. So with the 750 rune fragments, you are going to get to the 50 levels that you need to get to 350. What's holding me back, why I'm not 350 yet, is because I don't, update just came out and I haven't done a lot of dungeons yet to get enough the 750 to go to 350. So basically that's going to be the easiest way. You can of course also go the route of this one if you feel like you should, but it's going to be much more expensive and it's going to be a lot harder to get. This is going to be pretty simple. Again, you can use this in club worlds, and you can just use it on the ships if you find them. Then there's a free one if you want to get that. But rune crafting is going to be simple just with this one. And when you then craft it, you are going to get a debuff. You can just go ahead and remove that one if you want to, because it's going to last you for an hour. That your runes are not going to break, so you're not going to get any more rune fragments, for example. So you can just go ahead and remove that one if you want to. But if you don't want them to break for an hour, right, you can just keep it. Basically, it's just going to be every time you hit this, every time you hit craft with the 50, it's going to give you 1 skill level. but it's also gonna, you know, give you then 1 hour, and then it's just gonna refresh every time you hit that craft button. So basically you're not gonna have 50 hours when you are done with this one, but it's just gonna refresh 50 times. So you can go ahead and do that, and you should be 350 skill level, and we can move on to the next and last bracket. All right, now we are on the last bracket, which of course is the 350 to 400. And this one is gonna be a little bit of a grind because we are in the essence area, if that makes any sense. And that is gonna be a very rare material. Just kind of a rare material. It's gonna be easier later on. I'm gonna talk about that in the rune anvil, how you are going to get some of these. But basically we are right here, as you can see. And we are just going to craft whatever you have here. Anything you have that's going to be anything. Like if you just had a little bit of this one, right? Go ahead and craft this one. It's going to cost you rune paper. It's going to be the same every single time, except for this one right up here is going to be a little bit different. That's the one I recommend you make. But the rune essence is gonna, runic essence are probably going to be pretty hard to get. I feel like they are the hardest essences to get. I think the other ones might be a little bit easier to get. But they all, again, gonna cost you the 3 different essences. Also the runic ones. I would not suggest you get these ones, basically. The ones that cost runic essence. So if you have runic essence, you should definitely go ahead and make this one. But again, you can use whatever you want to of these. These are basic leaflets, as they're called. And these are basically an extra buff, bar you can hack. So it's actually pretty funny because it's gonna cost you, for example, 15 of these corals, and then of course also the essences, and then the rune paper. The essences you're not gonna get back, but you are gonna get 10 corals back. So you're gonna use 15, but you're gonna get 10 back. So it's not really a profitable thing, but that's not really why we do it. We basically do, and you can have it at the same time as your tomes and stuff like that. It's a different thing. So yeah, basically you can charge them as well as tomes. They just work just like tomes, and you of course have it in your auto-use thing. So you do have to have it in that. So I'm really not sure if I want to use any of these, but because they give materials that are pretty simple to get anyways, like they're super easy to get. But this one is amazing because it grants you many rune fragments, and rune fragment is what we are going to get. And the rune essences is of course from the long shade difficulty. I haven't found an easy way to get the rune essences. I will put a method in the description if I ever find one to get an easy way to these one. I have kind of found a method to the other essences, which I will cover in a different video, in my rune anvil video. That's just more appropriate right there to talk about how you're gonna get the essences. That'll be a segment in that one because it's also tied into the rune anvil, basically in that one. But the rune slates, we know those, so those we can just go ahead and make. Of course, we need 50 of these, so you can just go ahead and make 50. And then the rune essences is different ones. Again, you can get it from the workbench, but I don't really feel like that is a nice way to get them. But yeah, well, we'll see what happens. But again, if you can get a bunch of these, then you are guaranteed to get a lot of rune fragments, at least. That's what I think. This says many, so I'm thinking like 20, 25 or something like that, because the other one gives 10, so it should be like at least double or something around that. And then these rune fragments here is of course from the Sunderland Uplands, of course in the tier 15 world. So whenever that is in rotation, that is going to be, so keep an eye out for those and keep holding on to them. You can only hold 100 of them, but we only need 50 of them. So yeah, and again, you can also get these different things. You can also hold 100 of these. So these are from the different biomes. Right now it's Desert Frontier. So let me see if I can find the Desert Frontier one. I'm not sure which one it actually is. I think it's the surface ones. Oh, that's the Medieval Highlands. Okay, so that was the one from there. So basically just look where you can find them. When you hover it, this one is going to be from Candoria. So when Candoria is in that one, that is the Forbidden Spire. So these are pretty simple to get and you can't trade them. But they're all over the place. They look like small things. So just run over the surface and you are going to find all of these materials right here. And then the essences are going to be a little more different. You can't get them from the workbenches, but you can probably also get them from other places as well. So the essences seems like kind of the thing that's going to hold you back. And then the rune paper is just, again, you can go ahead and make 50 of these, depending on you're making these or you're making some of these other leaflets as well. But again, recommending you, of course, go for the deep rune if you can do so. But any of these, as long as you get to 400, that's really what is the whole idea. So if you have a little bit of, you know, Cypher essence and some of these deep molds, which is from the Jurassic jungle, which one we were in it before, that, and then of course some rune paper as well, then to go ahead and make those. So whatever lights up, if it doesn't light up, you have some of these. That's because maybe I didn't have the thing stuff before. So just update the bench by going into it again, and it should update when you have, you know, whatever you can craft. So go ahead and craft anything you like of these ones. There's nothing of them that is better, except for, of course, the runes. I would recommend that one, but again, the rune is a little bit hard to get. So enough rambling about which ones you should get. This step is pretty explanatory, but there is a few things. Basically, it's just a grind step, because it's going to be involving the essences, and 15 of them, which is going to be a little bit expensive, but you know, later on it's probably going to be pretty simple. So that was the last bracket. We'll do a little outro, and that was all the brackets for rune crafting. Alright, so that was the rune crafting guide, completely from 0 to 400. So you should be 400 when you hit this one. There is a little bit of a grind to it, but the first steps are pretty simple. I feel like most of the steps are pretty simple. The 300 to 350 was kind of crazy, but there was a little bit of workaround, as you saw in that step as well. So before, it was really, really grindy. So I'm happy I found that workaround. So you can kind of skip ahead to that one. So the last bracket, the 450 to 400, 350, sorry, to 400, that is the one is going to be really crazy. I feel like there's no really workaround. Maybe there's some in the anvil, but I feel like you all do have to go pretty deep into the anvil before, I guess, you go back, and it's going to be very simple. I think this is the simplest method you can actually do. Also, again, the rewards at 400 is not the most crazy stuff. Of course, the 35 rune fragments are pretty nice, but it's a weekly one, so you can probably get the, you know, just doing 5 dungeons or so with this one. 3 dungeons maybe, even if you're really lucky, but at least 5 you are going to, you know, be has as much with doing, you're getting that basically. So this was again the rune fragments. I was about the rune crafting guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Right over there should be a video for some time where that's the algorithm showing that, hey, YouTube thinks that you are going to like that video. So, but thank you so much for watching this rune crafting. Hope it inspired you. Hopefully you are grinding it out, and hopefully it helped you. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.